Good afternoon, traders. Welcome back to another episode of Greenback Riders. And today we will be talking about what are the expectations for the coming week and specifically for tomorrow. Tomorrow being the 14th of October 2024. And what are the different support and resistance areas that we have. Before we start, whoever is celebrating Dussehra, a very happy Dussehra to everyone. Also, if the content of these videos are helping you out, please like, comment, share on the video, subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon. Let us now get back to business and look at the monthly chart. So looking at the monthly chart, we have gone above this previous ATH that we had around the 5830 area, and we have created a new all-time high at this point, which is at 5869.25. So at this point of time, this is the high of the month. We have started a little bit of pullback around that area, and we created a trading range in the lower time frame. That is nothing major compared to what the bulls have done. So there is no sign at this point of time as well that there is going to be a reversal attempt. We may have pullback days, a couple of them, but as of now, there is no bearishness in the market. The market is really high, but still the bulls are strong and they're creating breakouts and they're getting new highs. So if we can get above this 5870 area, we know that we have the measured move targets around the 78 to the 84 area based on the charts on the lower time frame. However, if we can get above that, if we can get above that 5900 and keep on moving up, it is highly possible that we will come and touch this monthly wedge line right here, and that will be somewhere in the 592021 area on the upside. Even after that, the market will have the capability of breaking out, but some bulls may be taking profit right here on the monthly chart. And then we will see that if we are pushing up further, we may get to that 5933, 5946, 5950, and then finally the 5955 to the 66 area to the upside. However, if you see this is connecting these particular trend lines, now it is also possible that the market may be looking at this particular trend line to the upside. And at that point of time, the price may actually come to the 5997 area and try to get to that 6000 mark that we have been talking about. On the downside, this 30 to the 27 area will be a very good support. We will have to see that if the price is breaking down. After that, we will find support between the 5815 and the 5806 area. Below that, again, we will see if we are able to break down the 5800. The next support that we have on the monthly chart is at the 5722 levels. So as of now, there is no other information on the monthly chart. So let us now take a look at the weekly chart. Now, all the charts that we will be discussing here, the read-only link to those charts will be available in the description below. And I have also started a bar-by-bar reading on the 5-minute RTA chart. I will put the link of that as well in the description from today onwards. Now, looking at the weekly chart, the last week actually ended on its high as we were expecting on Thursday, that the bulls may not want the week to end on its low or in red. And they actually had a very good close at 5860 with just a 10-point wick on the upside. So that is a very good bar for the bulls on the weekly chart. So if we can take out this 5869.25 area, which was the high of last week, we will mark all those lines on the chart. So if we are able to get out of this, then at this particular point of time, the price may come and hit this particular area at 5930, which will form the weekly wedge right here. And then we will see if we are breaking out of it and we will continue to go back to the upside. Now we need to be careful at the 2021 area. As we saw on the monthly time frame, the price may actually stall there and not move up to the 5930 area, because there is a high possibility that several bulls will be taking profit at that point of time. However, if the profit taking is not that strong, we can still break out above the 2122 area and keep going up to the 5930, 33, and then to the 4655 levels as well. Now, the weekly ATR ended last week around 130 points. Now, if you are trying to get 130 points right from 5860, so that actually takes us to the 5960 area. And we know that on the monthly chart, if we are breaking about that particular wedge that we saw, we may have another wedge at the 5997 area. And that may be the place where the price is trying to reach at this point of time. Also, on the weekly chart, if we are looking at the legs after this new low, this was the first leg that was up and we are in the second leg. And if we are trying to do a 1:1 of this whole move to the upside, that may be capable of taking us above 6000 and get to the 6100 areas as well. But that is a long shot. First of all, we will have to see we are breaking above that 6000 area, and then we will see if we are able to get to that 6117 levels. But as of now, that is the measured move of this particular move that we have to the upside. On the downside, again, the first support that we have on the weekly chart is at the 5830 area, which is very similar to the monthly chart. So that will continue to be a very good support, because as of now, we are having a very good breakout. But now we need to see that whether we are getting a follow through to continue to the upside. On the downside, again, this 5845 area will also be a very good support, because this will be testing out the breakout of this particular line. So we may actually find support on this particular line as well. And that will be somewhere in the 5845 to the 5840 area. Below that, the next support will be at 5830, which we talked about, and then we can see ourselves at the 5822 level. And if we fall below that, then we can come to the 5800 to the 5797. And if the price keeps on coming down, we need to remember that this will be the major support on the weekly chart at this point, which is at 5740, which will be the weekly trend line support at this point. And below that, we have the 5731, which has been a very good support. Every time we have broken below that, we have got a push to the upside. But at this point of time, if it comes down there, maybe the bulls will become weak here at this point, because they got a breakout, and that may be considered as a failed breakout, and it may actually come down to the 5600 levels as well at that point of time. But again, that will be beyond the 131-point ATR that we have on the weekly at this point. So my expectation is the weekly ATR should fluctuate somewhere between 130 to 150 and not break out below that. And most of the time, I am expecting that the market will still remain bullish as long as some major support areas are not broken down and they are holding. As of now, that level for me is below the 5800s and not prior to that. It does not mean that I will not short the market. I will look at my 5 minutes price action and I will short the market there. But most of the shorts will be very small scalps, and I'll not be holding on to the shorts for a long time. So let us now move on to the daily chart. So on the daily chart, we did have a 15-point wick to the upside on Friday, but we will have to see that if we are able to break down this area first, this will continue to be a very good support area, because this was the previous breakout area that we had, and then we will have this particular wedge line support again. Since we broke out of it, there is a possibility that this area will continue to be a support area. But if we break down from here, then we will have to wait for this area to be taken out again to consider that, okay, the price is willing to get up to the upside. If we break down below that, the next support that we will have on the daily chart will be between this 5836 to the 5830 area. Breaking down of that, we will come to the major support, which is at 5822. If we are breaking down 5822 and we break down the 5820 to the 18 as well, we can revisit this 5811 to the 13 area, and below that we can come to the 5808 to the 5803 again. And if the bears are strong enough at that point of time, it can take us down further. Now we will have to look at the ATR once again, and the ATR was again around 50 to 55 points. So if we are able to get above 50 to 55 points from here, that will actually bring us somewhere to the 5900 to the 5908 areas to the upside. And if the bulls continue their journey to the upside, they break out this 5870, they break out of those measured move targets that we have at 5883, and we keep moving to the upside. The upper wedge line target that we have is also around the 5909 area. So if the bulls are strong enough tomorrow, this may actually be a very good target for them. It is also possible that we create another inside bar here tomorrow with a very small range, being Monday, and after the strong move to the upside, it is also possible that we have a tiny day tomorrow, and then Tuesday and Wednesday we keep moving to the upside. Also, if you're taking a leg-based approach and trying to see where the measured move of this particular move can be, and that can actually take us to the 5933 areas on the upside. So whatever be the case, after this new low got created, we are in the second leg to the upside right now. We have broken out of this expanding triangle. Now it is very important that we stay outside this expanding triangle or near the upper line of this expanding triangle. Otherwise, there is always a possibility that this breakout will prove to be false, and it may create a pullback for a few days, and we may even have a two-legged pullback to the downside to the midpoint of this particular expanding triangle, and that should be somewhere around the 5773 areas on the downside. If we fall below that, we will have to watch this area again. We have the daily EMA here as well as the 5762 to the 5755 area. We may actually find some bounce if the price comes down here. I will also keep this particular trend line on the daily chart at this point, and if we are coming down, we will see if we are coming down to this area, and if we finally come down and hit this trend line, we may find another bounce from here, and the price may start going up once again and create another new extreme, create another new high. This was the first touch we have on this trend line. We have the second touch here, and highly possible that we will have a third touch here as well, which will allow further acceleration to the upside. So since we have got a trend line here, it also makes sense that we draw a wedge line to the the upside and try to see what is the best line that we have at this point, and I will keep it around this area and see if at some point of time by the end of this year we are able to get above these levels, which will be above 6,000, and we may actually get to that 6117 line that we saw on the higher time frames. So having looked at the daily chart, let us now go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour intraday chart. On the 4-hour chart, we did come below this channel. We went back up. We created a new extreme right here at the 68-69 area. However, based on this particular mother bar that we had, this was the target. The 5875 area was the target on the 4-hour chart, which the bulls have failed to achieve at this point of time. So now we will have to see after this new low got created. This was the first entry long. This was the second entry long. The second entry long actually helped us break out of this trading zone. Now we will have to see if we are holding this 5846 to the 5844 area. This becomes very important, and if we are failing to do that, then at that point of time it is possible that we will be back in this trading range again. However, inside the trading range, since we are in a breakout mode at this point of time, this area will keep on providing very good support, which is from the 40 to the 34 area. We did see this area in the higher time frame as well. Below that, we will find support in the 5830 area, and finally may come down to the lower section of this mother bar or this trading range. And I am expecting that there will be bulls once again here to push the price up. We may just bounce from the 4-hour EMA as well, even if we have a two-legged pullback to the downside overnight. And then we can see that the price is bouncing back up from here as well, and that will also bring us to the lower 1/3 of this particular bullish spike that created this breakout. However, it is also possible that after this breakout was created, this is the first entry short. Now we will have to see how big this leg becomes on the 4-hour chart, if we get a continuation below this particular bar, or if we are getting a pullback and that is giving us another second entry long to the upside, maybe on the lower time frame of the 1 hour. Now after the strong bearish bar that we have, now we have to see if we are continuing, if we are getting a good follow through, and that may actually state that even if we have a pullback to the upside, we may have another leg downside on the bearish side based on this 4-hour chart. But that bearish leg may actually be sideways, and after that two-legged move to the downside, we may get the second entry long again and try to get to this measured move again. So at this point of time, we will have to see that this particular area is holding. If it's breaking down, whether we are holding the 34 to the 40 area or basically the 33 line. So we got rejected at the upper 1/3 of the 5800 at 5866, and if we break down the 50 area, we can come and revisit the 5833 area again, which will happen to be the lower 1/3 where you can expect buyers again as long as 5800 does not break down. However, while the move to the upside is still happening, I would keep an eye on this particular wedge. This was the first touch here. This was the second touch that we had, and this may actually create a third touch to the upside, get to this line of the measured move, and then we may actually start moving to the downside. So we will have to keep an eye on those moves that are happening around the 5875 area. But since the market is very bullish, if we are breaking out strong above this, we can easily get to that 5883 and get above the 5900 to get to all those measured move targets that we saw on the higher time frames. So based on this current chart that we have on the 4 hours, we will come back again tomorrow morning, take a look at it, what has happened overnight, and then we will be able to decide what can be a possible path of the price during the regular trading hours on Monday. On the 4-hour chart, we can also see that we had this wedge line. We have broken above this wedge line. Now we will have to see if we are holding on to that wedge line, and this wedge line happens to be at the same area, the 5850 to the 5845 area or the 40 area. So we will have to see what the price is doing around that. If we are breaking it down, then it is possible that we can come down to the 5833 areas, get a bounce from there, or if we do not bounce, we can see this 5830 followed by the 5821 line, and then we can come to the bottom of this mother bar again at 5813. And if the mother bar actually is breaking down to the downside, that can do a 1:1 at the 5782 area, which happens to be another major support on the 4-hour chart. So those are all the details that we have on the 4-hour chart at this point of time. Let us now get back and take a look at the 1-hour chart. So looking at the 1-hour chart, we had the breakout of this previous high at the 5846 area, and then after the spike we even had a follow through, and after the follow through, as the price came down as the first entry short here, We got a nice pullback here and we did another leg to the upside. We created another high above this previous high of the spike, and then it provided a second entry shot right below this particular candle, and we are coming down at this point of time. So as we are coming down, we will have to see that if we are holding this 46 to the 40 area, and if we are breaking this down, we may come down back to the 5840 to the 5837 area. Below that, we will find support again at the 33 or the 34 area on the downside. And if we are not able to hold that, then we may find ourselves in the 5828 to the 5825 area, again breaking down, of which we can come anywhere between the 24 to the 21 line, and then again to the 5818, and we can come back to this major support area that we had. At that point of time, we will see that whether we are coming back down and trying to complete this expanding triangle that we had on the downside as well. And if we keep on coming down, we will actually see if we are trying to come and hit this particular trend line to the bottom, which will create the 3-touch wedge on the hourly time frame. Now on the upside, we will have to keep an eye on this 2 particular wedge lines on the 1 hour chart. If you see, this was the first touch. Here we had the second touch, depending on which wedge line we are looking at. And then if we will have to see if we are getting above this particular area between 5859 and 5862, and then we can try to get to the stop once again on this particular wedge line, and then break out of that and get to the levels on the higher side. It is also possible that based on the 1 hour chart, we can create a trading range between this 5846 and the 586062 areas as well tomorrow, and then we can break out, get another 20 points to the top to the 8283 area, and then we will have to see at what point of time in the day that happened, and if there is still a chance of the price moving to the upside and get closer to the 5900 areas. On the downside, on the hourly chart, this 5853 as well as the 5848 area can provide some support, and then we can come down to the 5846 to the 5844 area. We will also have to see what happens when the price comes and hits this 1 hour EMA. So as of now, whenever we have come below the 1 hour EMA, we did not get a follow through bar below that, except for this time, but still it did not create a new low here, and we shot up back and created a new high to the upside. So now if this happens to be a false breakout and we are falling below the 5846 or the 5845 areas again, and the bulls are not supporting in the 5839 area, then a breakdown below the 1 hour EMA is highly probable. But then this probability will again depend on seeing that whether that 1 hour EMA is actually holding or breaking down, and that we can say only in real time and can play according to that. Now on the 1 hour time frame, this was our first leg up, this was the second leg up, and we had a third leg up as well, and now we are having a 2-legged move to the downside. So we will have to see how far we get down before we get a second entry long based on this first move that we had to the upside. However, if we are trying to get a 1:1 of the spike to the upside, the price again brings us back to the 5886 area, but that will depend on whether we are able to break out last week's high, and then we can target this area as a first profit taking target. So let us now go and take a look at the RTH 5 minutes chart. Now, based on all these analysis, we will be back again tomorrow morning at 8:45 a.m. EST to see what the market has done overnight and create a pre-market plan. So if you want to be a part of that call, the link to the Google Meet is given in the description below, and you are very welcome to join there. Along with that, you will also find the link to our free Discord server as well as the Facebook page, and you are very welcome to join there as well. On the 5 minutes RTH chart, the area between 5846 and the 5843.5, these areas will be very good support because this was the breakdown of the previous high, and this created a lower high which created a new low to the downside, and we have broken out of that. So that will also be a very good support area. So this is the area where I am expecting to have bulls. If we do not find bulls there, then we will come back to the 5840 to the 5837 area, and then we will actually get back into this 40-point trading zone that we had. However, inside the trading zone as well, if the bulls are strong, they will try to buy again in this area, which is the 5833 area. If we fail the 5833 area, we may actually come down to the 5828 to the 24 area, and then we will see if we are coming and hitting this particular trend line here. Now this was the first touch of the trend line, this was the first breakout of the trend line, and we went back up again. So we had another touch here, we kept the gap open here at this point of time, and now if we are coming down here, we will have to be very careful that whether we are breaking down below this trend line, we are breaking down below this 2427 area, and we want to come down to the levels farther down. If you also see here on the 5-minute chart, we have a kind of a head and shoulder structure here, but the head and shoulder structure failed to break out at the top above the 5866. So now we'll have to see that 5866 to the 5870 areas are taken out, and if those areas are taken out, we can see all those levels farther to the upside. So on the downside, I would need to see that these areas are getting taken out, and the price is holding below that in order to see that if the price is willing to go down further. However, if we come down to the 37 area and get back above this 46 area, that will be a false breakdown in a bullish market, and the price will try to get up to the top here again. Now we will have to see if we are breaking down this 5818 levels, this 5811 levels. The next biggest support that we have is between the 5808 to the 5803 area. Below that, it will bring us to the 5800 to the 5794 area. And if we are breaking that down, the next major support level will be in the 5779 to the 5782 areas once again. So that is all the analysis I have at this point. As said earlier, based on this, we will be back again tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. EST to make the pre-market plan. I will end this video here right now, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of the weekend and a great rest of the night, everyone. Bye.